Today, we're jumping into one of the most urgent challenges of our time, wildfires. I mean, they're getting bigger, faster, and way more destructive, and they're pushing our traditional firefighting methods right to the edge. So how do you fight a fire that's completely changed the rules of the game? Let's get into it.
You see, the story of modern wildfires isn't really one of failure by our incredibly brave firefighters. No, not at all. It's a story of a crisis that has it's outgrown the tools we relied on for generations. The very nature of fire is changing, and we are in a serious race to keep up.
So just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, in a single recent year, 7.6 million acres burned in the United States alone. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that is an area larger than the entire state of Maryland. It's just a mind-boggling number that really shows you the sheer size of the challenge.
And the impact? It's not just environmental. The global cost of wildfire damage is estimated at a staggering $50 billion every single year. And that number, it's more than just lost forests. It's destroyed homes, it's crippled infrastructure, and it's massive hits to public health and whole economies.
This all leads us to a really crucial question. The methods we've been using for decades, they've saved countless lives and homes, no question about it. But as these fires get more and more extreme, fueled by a changing climate, we have to ask, are these trusted tools really enough for the infernos we're facing now?
Okay, so let's take a quick look at that traditional toolkit. For years, our defense against wildfires has pretty much rested on four main pillars, right? Each one with a very specific job to do out there on the fire line. Now this is where it gets really interesting, because this table breaks down the problem perfectly. You've got water, but in a drought, it's scarce, and in extreme heat, it just evaporates. Then there's clearing ground to remove fuel, but that is so slow and incredibly labor-intensive. Backburning? It can be a powerful tool, but it's super risky and unpredictable if the winds suddenly shift. And those famous red aerial retardants we see on the news, they're really expensive, and honestly, their effect is just temporary.
And look, this isn't just some theory. This is real life. During the Cedar Fire in California, embers jumped across a 10-lane highway. Just think about that for a second. A 10-lane highway. It proves that even our biggest, most robust physical barriers can be totally defeated by these modern megafires.
But what if we could build a better barrier? What if there was something faster, safer, and way more durable? And that's where we pivot from the problem to a really fascinating potential solution. This idea of a proactive chemical firebreak. Okay, so let's meet the new contender on the scene, Prefirex. Now, the easiest way to think about it is like a kind of fireproof sunscreen for the landscape. It's a liquid that you spray right onto vegetation or the ground, and it forms this barrier that literally locks in moisture. So how does this stuff actually work? Well, it's a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, you spray it, and you can use the same equipment firefighters already have. Second, it gets to work creating this durable barrier that binds water molecules. And third, this is the magic. When the fire shows up, that barrier can withstand temperatures over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, releasing that trapped water to cool and extinguish the flames right on contact. And this is where it gets really compelling. This barrier isn't just effective, it's also smart. It can last for weeks after it's applied, it's completely non-toxic and biodegradable. And get this, any residue left behind actually acts as a fertilizer, which helps the ecosystem recover after a fire instead of harming it. Now, it's really important to understand, this isn't about just throwing out the old playbook. Not at all. The real game changer here is integration. It's all about combining this new technology with the proven methods we already have to create a strategy that's just far more effective. Let me show you how this could play out in the real world.
All right, let's start with a scenario that is unfortunately becoming all too common. Communities that are built right up against wildlands. What they call the wildland-urban interface. This is where lives and homes are most at risk. So imagine this. Before fire season even kicks off, crews go out and proactively spray Prefirex around a neighborhood's perimeter. If a fire starts heading that way, that chemical firebreak is now the first line of defense, and it can be backed up by traditional methods like water drops. The key benefit here, the absolute game changer, is time. It slows the fire's advance, buying precious hours for people to evacuate and for firefighters to engage much more safely.
Okay, next scenario, our treasured national parks. Now, in these places, the goal isn't just to stop the fire. It's to do it with as little ecological damage as possible. I mean, bulldozing massive fire breaks through a pristine forest, that's a painful last resort kind of option.
With this kind of approach, you can create what is essentially an invisible firebreak.
Prefirex can be sprayed along park boundaries or around really sensitive habitats without tearing up the landscape. This lets fire managers protect the ecological heart of the park while preserving its natural beauty for all of us.
And what about all the stuff our society literally can't run without? Wildfires pose a massive threat to our power lines, water treatment plants, communication towers, you name it. The ripple effects of losing any of these can be absolutely catastrophic.
Here, the whole strategy is to create a resilient shield. You apply Prefirex around these vital assets before there's even a threat. Then, if a fire does hit, that shield can be reinforced with aerial support. Ultimately, this layered defense dramatically cuts down the risk of losing those essential services that we all depend on every single day. So, when you start putting all these pieces together, the picture that emerges is one of much, much greater resilience. This isn't just about fighting fires better, it's about building a future where our communities and our ecosystems are fundamentally safer and more prepared for what's coming.
And this chart, it just sums it all up perfectly. Who wins with this kind of integrated approach? Well, society wins with safer communities. Firefighters win with reduced risk out on the front lines. And the environment wins with a tool that not only protects it, but actually helps it recover. It really is a win-win-win.
So, the real core takeaway here is this. We simply cannot fight tomorrow's fires with yesterday's tools alone. The future really does lie in embracing innovation and smartly combining the new with the old to be more strategic in our defense.
Which leaves us with one final and honestly pretty critical question. In a world that is undeniably getting hotter and drier, innovation like this, it stops being a nice-to-have and becomes an absolute necessity for survival. The technology is here. The real question is, are we ready to adapt?